Hello and welcome once again to another My Tunes podcast here at manxradio.com.
Marc Tyley, the nation station, Manx Radio.
My Tunes guest this week is Guy Thompson MBE, who has done so much for scouting here on the Isle of Man. We're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to talk a lot about his music choices and about a lot of the things he's done elsewhere. Guy, welcome to My Tunes.
Yeah, thank you.
And congratulations, first of all, on the MBE. Now, I have to ask, did you see it coming?
Well, the governor did ring me about 6 weeks beforehand, but I was under strict instructions not to mention it to anybody except my wife, and which is true. And then, of course, we got a letter from the governor on the 29th of December, and across the envelope said Guy Thompson MBE, and of course, therefore, all of the postmen would know and everybody else. But it was announced that night in the London Spectator.
It's actually written on the envelope, is it?
Yeah.
It says, oh, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
so the secret was out.
Get well and truly out. Well and truly out. Well, congratulations. I mean, it's been a lifetime's work for you, but particularly working with children with special needs. And that was the initiative that really took off in the last couple of years, wasn't it?
Well, no, it goes beyond then. I became the Iron Commissioner in 2013, and in 2015, I did a lot of legwork going to the education people, the schools, King William's College, to see if we were able to form groups outside of school hours. Took a lot of work, but eventually, I think it was 2015-16, we formed First Rainbow Scout Group, which is a group that meets outside of school hours. And that's largely successful, and it's very well run. And as I said, they meet every week. I think it's about 5 o'clock in the evening. But then I felt that we could offer scouting to more children, and clearly the way forward would be to actually do scouting in schools. We felt at first that we would be scouting actually in the school, but then I realised it wouldn't be conducive to having scout lessons or scout activities in a school. So they come to us 4 times a week, and it's various mornings or afternoons, and it's at our scout campsite, which is the top end of Silverdale Glen. And there we can have bushfires, bushcraft, we have archery, axe throwing, we have a climbing wall, and we can camp there as well. So that was fantastic. So that's where we generally meet. Sometimes we go out into other areas and do orienteering, but whatever we do in the SPC units, it's all mainstream scouting.
Am I right in saying that the initiative to include children from special needs backgrounds was a first?
Well, it's a first for us on the Isle of Man, but I believe it's a first also in the United Kingdom. I've been trying to get other leaders, volunteers in inclusion and diversity in the UK to see if they are doing anything similar, and they're not. What they do in certain areas is they do scouting in special schools, but they don't. The scouting actually takes place in the school rather than out in the field, so to speak. So I think we're virtually a one-off. Only last week I had an email from a leader in Birmingham. So I don't know how the word is spreading, but this was in Birmingham, and they wanted to set up something like we're doing here. So obviously I'll be giving them advice. That's great.
The word is out. This
Hopefully.
is good. This is good, and you're going to
Hopefully.
spread it further. Musically, where are we going to start your musical journey this week?
Well, it started many years ago in the early 1960s. My mother thought I should be going to do piano lessons with a lady called Mavis Kelly, and she'd be very well known to a lot of musicians on the Isle of Man. And I can't remember now, I think I was doing piano lessons for 2 or 3 years, and at the end of that, all I could play was Three Blind Mice. And incidentally, I can still play that now. That's the only tune I know. Then Mum sent me back to Mavis Kelly to do singing lessons, and I took part in the guild. So I'd been probably 9 years old, and I went 3 times. The first time to the guild, I came 3rd, which is absolutely wonderful. Second time, I think I was 13th out of 15, and the very last time, I was last. So Mum gave up on my musical skills, which I think was a disappointment, because her sister was in, over here, Ivy Benson's girl band, I think it was
Oh yes,
called.
the all-women big
Something
band.
like that, yes.
Very much so.
Yeah, so I think it was a great disappointment. Later on, when I was probably about 11 or 12 years old, I joined the school band, playing a guitar. All I could do was a few chords, not very much. But one of the tunes that we did practice and we did perform was Delaney Had a Donkey. So that would be my first choice of music. Brings back a lot of memories. I haven't heard it 20, 30 years.
I don't think I have either, but we will now. Here he is, Val Doonican.
Now Delaney had a donkey that everyone admired, temporarily lazy and permanently tired, a leg at every corner, balance in his head, and a tail to let you know which end he wanted to be fed. Riley slyly said we've underrated it, why not train it? Then they took a rag, they rubbed it, scrubbed it, they oiled and embricated it, got it at the post, and when they started dropped the flag. There was Riley pushing it, shoving it, shushing it, Hogan, Logan and everyone in town lined up attacking it and shoving it and smacking it. They might as well have tried to push the town hall down. The donkey was eyeing them, openly defying them, winking, blinking and twisting out of place. Riley reversing it, everybody cursing it. The day Delaney's donkey ran the half-mile race, the muscles of the mighty never known to flinch, they couldn't move the donkey a quarter of an inch. Delaney lay exhausted, hanging round his throat, with a grip just like a Scotsman on a £5 note. Starter Carter, he lined it with the rest of them. When it saw them, it was willing then. It raced up, braced up, ready for the best of them. They started off to cheer it, but it changed its mind again. And there was Riley, pushing it, shoving it, shushing it, Hogan, Logan and Mary Ann McGrath. She started poking it and grabbing it and choking it. It kicked her in the bustle and it laughed, hee-ha. The Whigs and Conservatives, the radical superlatives, Liberals and Tories, they hurried to the place, stood there in unity, helping the community. The day Delaney's donkey ran the half-mile race, the crowd began to cheer it, and Rafferty, the judge, he came up to assist them, but still it wouldn't budge. And the jockey who was riding it, little John McGee, was so thoroughly disgusted that he went and had his tea. Hagen, Fagin were students of psychology, swore they'd shift him with some dynamite. They bought it, brought it, and without apology, the donkey gave a sneeze and blew the whole lot out of sight. And there was Riley, pushing it, shoving it, shushing it, Hogan, Logan and all the bally crew, police and auxiliary, the garrison artillery, the second in the skillings and the lifeguards too. They seized it and harried it, they picked it up and carried it, cheered it, steered it to the winning place. Then the bookmakers drew aside, and they all committed suicide. The day Delaney's donkey won the half-mile race.
This week, my MyTunes guest is Guy Thompson MBE. We know that because it said it on the envelope that arrived at his house not that long ago. Guy, it's lovely to have you with us. When we were chatting earlier, you were talking about growing up on the Isle of Man and going to the Great Palace Lido and seeing all the bands, and I know we'll get to that a little later. So although your massive piano career began and ended with Three Blind Mice, your interest in music kept going.
It did.
Yeah.
I mean, I still listen to music today. Not so much classical music, usually 1960s, 70s, maybe 80s music. That's about the extent of it. But I think that was the highlight of pop culture in those years, to my mind.
Well, it was defining an era. It was everything was changing. Everything was moving. Things were happening, and they still are. But there was so much change in the 60s. I think you're right. When did you first get involved in scouting?
Well, actually, I was a Boy Scout and a Scout in 1st Douglas in the late 50s and early 60s. Then I left Scouting and didn't really have any contact with them until my son was born, and he became a Beaver, which at that time was the youngest section. So he was with 1st Maloo for many years, and indeed he's still in Scouting today. So he's had a long career in Scouting, which is marvellous. But in recent times, I was what we call a parent helper in the noughties, and I then, after a few years, I became a cub leader, and then in 2013 the Island Commissioner. who is responsible for scouting for all of the leaders and the scouts themselves. So we have about 1,100 now in total, which is really, really good.
So in terms of percentage, how well is scouting supported on the Isle of Man, given our 86,000 people?
I couldn't answer the percentages. Put it this way, we are the largest co-ed youth organisation on the island, and probably in Britain as well, for that matter.
Which is quite something in this day and age when the polls on young people's time, there's so many things to be involved with compared to when we were growing up, that to get them into scouting, I think it's a huge achievement.
I started, we had about 750, and we're now up to 1,100. And I think, to be honest, I think we probably hit our peak, because, as you say, there are so many other activities for children to do. But what we have been successful with, we've introduced over the last few years a lot of adventurous activities, such as kayaking, archery, all in-house. We have our own recently built climbing wall with the generosity of Manx Lottery Trust, and we also do rock climbing. So there are a lot of activities, and that has, I think, helped bring our numbers up to where they are presently.
And these are very real, hands-on, adventurous pursuits that you simply cannot get using a device in your bedroom.
Well, that's it. That is the thing, and we do compete with devices in bedrooms,
Yeah.
and we obviously compete with a lot of other voluntary organisations as well. But I think we're doing very well. I mean, we have a very, very dedicated, hard-working leaders or volunteers, as we call them these days.
Yeah.
So yes, it's and parents, of course, play a very big part because they have to come out in all weathers. I was scouting last night, and we had scouts coming out in the snow. So it's really a major commitment for the family.
I want to take you back to the Palace Lido, a young man going to see a fabulous rock band, and there you were. You reckon you were about 16 when they came?
I think so.
Yeah.
About 16.
And we're talking about Cream, one of the first supergroups, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, in those days at the Palace Lido, we had all sorts of groups coming in, Rolling Stones amongst many. And albeit I didn't get to see any of those except for Cream. And I'd already was very interested in the group. I think they made 1 or 2 albums before I saw them. But there was, as you remember, Eric Clapton, Ginger Baker, Jack Bruce.
Yep.
Ginger Baker did a very, very, very long drum solo, probably 10 minutes. And the spectators, the fans, I think didn't appreciate this. At least some of them didn't. And they hailed him with pennies. They threw pennies at him, and they were the big pennies in those days.
Heavy, heavy pieces of metal, yeah.
And it stuck in my memory all these years, and he actually got up and made some hand gestures and then went backstage. And I don't know, I can't remember whether he came back on again or not. But I mean, it's just unbelievable what happened in those days.
Ah, it is. And it could have been very dangerous, actually.
Absolutely.
But should we have a bit of Cream?
Well, one of my favourite tunes was Sunshine Off Your Love.
It's getting near dawn when lights close the tired eyes. I'll soon be with you, my love. Give you my dawn surprise. I'll be with you, darling, soon. I'll be with you when the stars start falling. I've been waiting so long to be where I'm going, in the sunshine of your love. I'm with you, my love, the light shining through on you. Yes, I'm with you, my love. It's the morning and just we two. I'll stay with you, darling, now. I'll stay with you till my seas are dried up. just we two. I'll stay with you, darling, now. I'll stay with you till my seas are dried up. I've been waiting so long. I've been waiting so long. I've been waiting so long to be where I'm going in the sunshine of your love.
Guy Thompson, MBE, is my MyTunes guest this week. And as well as being one of the driving forces behind the Scouts Association of the Isle of Man, he's also a surveyor. And I'm going to have a run at this guy, a diocesan surveyor as well. Did I get that right?
Absolutely spot on.
Now, what is a diocesan surveyor, sir?
Well, I've been doing this for 20 odd years now, and I'm what's called an outhouse surveyor. If for example, it
No,
was...
that can't mean what I think it means.
No. If I was an in-house surveyor, like they would have at, say, York Minster, there would be a team of people like me. But here, I simply work on demand as I am needed. But it's my responsibility to inspect the churches every 5 years and the parsonages every 3 years, and anything else in between that crops up. So it's a very interesting and rewarding job. But that is all I do now. I'm semi-retired. I used to have private secular clients, but I've given them all up, and simply now it's the Church of England, which I really enjoy.
So where did you study to become a surveyor?
Well, when I left school, I didn't go to university, but many years later, I think I was 30, I did postgraduate studies at Reading University, and that's where I qualified.
And came straight back, or did you work over there for a while?
No, we have worked in Australia and New Zealand in our past, but no, as soon as I qualified, my son was born actually, so that was the end of my studies.
Yeah, and back here.
I'm back here.
Now, we need to talk about a cassette and a Land Rover and a journey to India via all sorts of places that you probably can't drive through these days so easily. Tell us about your great expedition and your cassette of Rick Wakeman.
Right, well, we, a good friend of mine, and we still meet, called Willie Black. We had a Land Rover Series 3 short wheelbase, had a tent on the roof, and because we were leaving here in January, we had 2 spare wheels, one on the bonnet, one on the back door, with snow chains on, just in case. However, we didn't encounter any snow, nor did we encounter any punctures, so they came back in whole. We set off from here in January, went through Europe, passed through Yugoslavia as it was then, down through Greece, Turkey, entered into Iran. I knew a girl in Iran, an American girl. I'd met her in Kenya the year earlier. She said, well, come and visit us, which we did. Then we took a southern route, bypassing Afghanistan into Pakistan, Balochistan, and up to Lahore, across over into India. And we had intended going down to Bombay and Calcutta, but as soon as we got onto the roads in India, they were packed with people and animals. So we had to abort Calcutta and Bombay, but we had in mind to go obviously to Delhi, Agra. We wanted to go over to Darjeeling, which we did. We got up at 5 a.m. one morning to see the sun rise over the third highest mountain, which is called Kanchenjunga. Then we traversed Nepal, back into India, back through Pakistan, this time through Afghanistan, and back through Iran, Turkey, and then into civilization down on the coast of Turkey and Greece.
What an adventure. And as I said at the top of that, those countries, so many of them would be far more difficult to visit these days and far more dangerous, I'm guessing. And obviously, no mobile phones, no satellite phones. Your people back here probably didn't hear from you until, what, you got back to Europe?
Yeah, I said goodbye to my mum, dog, and my dad down here. And next time I contacted them, apart from postcards, was when we arrived back in Greece 4 months later.
And if it's anything like these days, you probably got back before some of the postcards.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah. But there was a cassette on board, just a few bits of music on board, and we're going to draw on one of those for Tune 3.
Yeah. Well, we had very limited space on the Land Rover. I think we probably had, in fact, we were swapping cassettes with other overlanders as we met them. But one that we did keep was Rick Wakeman's Journey to the Centre of the Earth. We had that and we played it over and over and over again. Any of those tracks, but one in particular was The Battle, which was quite good.
Well, we'll play that in just a second, but it must have felt a bit like you were doing the journey to the centre of the earth in all these amazing countries. I take it vast majority you'd never been to before.
No, apart from Europe.
Apart from the European. So let's have that. The Battle from Rick Wakeman's Journey to the Centre of the Earth.
Monsters
My guest, Guy Thompson MBE, took us on a journey yesterday, not to the centre of the earth, although it must have seemed a bit like it, with Rick Wakeman playing out of the old cassette recorder. Rick Wakeman's journey to the centre of the earth, yesterday's tune, Guy, and you got to know him when he was here, when he came over.
Yes, it was really nice. I got to know him, his mother, his son Adam and Nina,
How long did he live here? Do you know?
Oh, I would only be guessing 5,
Yeah,
10
a few years.
Yeah,
a few years. And was very much part of the community across the island. Which,
Yes.
So how did you bump into him?
I did a job for him.
As a surveyor?
I designed his studios
Oh, lovely.
here in Glenvine. Yeah, so it was really good. I knew he took part in the service of the local church as well. So was very much part of the community at that time.
And he didn't get you playing the piano again?
No, I don't think he dared.
3 Blind Mice on Rick Wakeman's piano. That would have been something. That would have been something else. When you first started organising the scouting here on the Isle of Man, did you feel that it was going to grow the way it has done? Because it has been a phenomenal success. Has it exceeded your expectations?
Well, not just me, of course. We've got a very, very strong team of leaders and volunteers. I've resigned from my post as Island Commissioner. I'll be here till July because I felt the need to concentrate more on scouting in schools, which is what I'm going to be doing for the next few years, which is obviously a time-consuming job. I couldn't do it too. But no, we've built up lots and lots of our volunteers have risen above what they used to do. We've sent leaders off island to get extra qualifications in archery and kayaking and other activities like that, climbing. It's been a massive team effort. We have a very, very strong board of trustees. Most of them are Scout leaders, but not all, and they are very encouraging. We've got funds in the bank. We need help from benefactors as far as Rainbow Scouts are concerned, because that form of scouting is completely free. So obviously we are unable to fundraise. We're unable to stand on street corners and do activities like that. So what we do is simply go to our benefactors, and they've been most generous.
Now, just remind me, because you've got Rainbow Scouting, which is not the same as the Rainbows, who are a younger set altogether.
No, well, the Rainbows, they are in Girl Guiding.
Yes.
Yes, so we're not associated with them.
But the Rainbow Scouts, the scouting that you're doing, is open to boys and girls.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Scouting used to be just boys. I think 1976 girls started to come into scouting, and I don't think it was until the early 2000s that girls were fully integrated. So yes, girls are a very strong part of our scouting ethos these days.
And do you find it's a better mix for that? It's a healthier environment for that?
Yeah, much so. Yeah, and of course we have a lot of female scout leaders as well. And to be a leader, actually, incidentally, it used to be quite some years ago, before my time, they had an upper age limit of, I think it was 60, or could have been 65, and all of a sudden they lost a load of leaders, good leaders. So now the minimum age, of course, is 18, but there's no upper age. So if you're 80 years old, you can volunteer for scouting.
How about that? So I know you always need new blood in the helping arena. Who should they get in touch with? You?
Yes. Yep, that's
Perfect.
the easiest.
Perfect.
But we have scouts.im, and we have Facebook's pages. So yeah, we're all over the place.
But don't think you can't. You can, and there's no upper age limit anymore. Well done. I'm delighted about that. We are looking at an era for this final record. I remember the posters. I remember the movie. I remember thinking, I must go to America to see how all this works. Born to be Wild. The whole sort of, I don't know, it was motorbikes. It was the desert highways. You tell me more.
Easy Rider was an album and, of course, film that was immensely popular and somewhat controversial in those days. I think it was the mid-60s, I'm not sure, late 60s. And the album itself had the likes of the Byrds, and one of the Byrds in those days was David Crosby, who went on to Crosby, Stills and Nash, Jimi Hendrix, Roger McGuinn was in it, and also Steppenwolf. Now, Steppenwolf, title of the song is Born to be Wild. And in the movie, they were riding their Harley Davidsons. Well, some years later, the film actually prompted me to go out and buy a Harley Davidson, which I did. I have had motorcycles since I was 16, but they've always been small capacity Japanese bikes. And in those days, a motorcycle license was just that. You could pick up any motorcycle. So I bought the Harley Davidson. I'd never sat on a big machine before, and off I went, and that was it. No training, nothing. No LPA, didn't need them because I had a motorcycle license. But I kept it for quite a few years. I used to take my son to school on the back of it and bring him home on the decent days. So it was a great machine, but frankly, it was too heavy for me. And my wife does a lot of yoga, and she said, well, why don't you come to yoga? So I actually went to yoga to see if I could loosen up some of my old bones, which did, I think, help. And I sold the motorcycle a couple of years ago. It's just getting too heavy for me.
I remember those two characters on their choppers. They had the chopped Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
It was an iconic poster.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. Coffee shops, everywhere. Well, we're going to finish up with something from that. Can I just say thank you for everything you do, Guy? Congratulations on the MBE. Here's to working with more children of various needs right across the Isle of Man, and you're selling the idea to people across. They're picking up on it, which is brilliant. Talk us into this last track. It is Steppenwolf. It is
Born to be Wild.
I think you are, you know.
Get your motor running. Head out on the highway. Looking for adventure. And whatever comes our way. Yeah, darling, go make it happen. Take the world in a love embrace. Fire all of your guns at once and explode into space. I like smoking lightning. Heavy metal thunder, racing with the wind, and the feeling that I'm under. Yeah, darling, go make it happen. Take the world in a love embrace. Fire all of your guns at once and explode into space. Like a true nature's child, we were born to be wild. We can climb so high, I never wanna die. Born to be wild. Born to be wild. Get your motor running. Head out on the highway. Looking for adventure. And whatever comes our way. Yeah, darling, go make it happen. Take the world in a love embrace. Fire all of your guns at once and explode into space. Like the true nature's child. We were born to be wild. We can climb so high. I never wanna die. Born to be wild. Born to be wild.
Cracking track. Wonderful. Born to be Wild, Steppenwolf. No, it's not TT, not quite yet, but it was Guy Thompson, MBE, my MyTunes guest all this week. Thank you, Guy, and keep on doing what you're doing. It is hugely appreciated. Keep coming back here, don't forget, for more MyTunes podcasts, in fact, podcasts of all shapes and sizes. And join me whenever you can for the morning show on Manx Radio, 9:30 to 12. I'm Marc Tyley. Hope to see you soon.